So first, let's talk about this company here. I was told they hire a lot of veterans, and you put out a new veterans program today. So tell me about that.
So first, we want to attract veterans to our state. I mean, I'm very grateful to be in a business that's veteran-owned right here, and a business that was recognized as the innovator of the year last year. So we're going to continue to put out programs that attract and retain veterans. They give so much to our state. We want to return that to them. We know they can be the most productive people in any employer's portfolio, and when you have more veterans in your state, you have a better state. So you'll see more policy from the state of Arizona regarding that. I think we're one of the top states in the country that has veterans residing there. I think we're at about 400,000 or 500,000, and when the weather gets like this, the number swells to 1.2 million. We'd like those folks to relocate, come to Arizona and stay.
Talking about taxes, repeal and accelerate. First special session, is that coming up here?
Well, you'll know when there's a special session, when we call for a special session. But I want to point out a business like this would have really suffered under the tax increase of 77% to all our small business owners. So I give a lot of credit to the legislature and to entrepreneurs around the state who chimed in so they could protect their employees, protect employment, and have Arizona as a reasonable and competitive state for taxes.
I mean, why is a flat tax so important to you?
Well, I think a flat tax is terrific for a number of reasons. One, it's very fair, it's across the board, it's simple, it's easy to understand. But what you want is a tax code that will keep your state competitive and dynamic and also fund the services of government. Of course, we've got education, we've got the social safety net, we have public safety. We live in a great state. There's a reason that people are moving here in droves, and we want to continue to invest in those very worthy services. And a flat tax is something that allows the economy to grow, but also allows us to fund what we need. You know, every time we've cut taxes in this state, all we've gotten are more taxpayers. Our general fund is overflowing with dollars, and I think we can give more of those dollars back to the hardworking Arizonans while continuing to invest in K-12 education.
So you're right, more and more Arizonans are more and more people are becoming Arizonans, moving here right now. The cost is going up dramatically. There's a huge housing shortage right now in our state. How does all of this make sense? I mean, this is an attempt to lure more people into our state at a time that maybe we don't need more people in our state.
Well, growth is a good thing. If you're not a state that's growing and thriving, you're a state that's in decline, decay, and misery if you look at some of these states that people are exiting. So what we want to do is be responsible in our growth. And yes, Arizona's always had a wonderful quality of life, and in many ways we've been of value in comparison to coastal areas and other big cities. You're exactly right, there's a shortage of housing, but this is not a bubble type situation. This is a supply and demand situation. So you have home builders that are pulling permits by the dozens, and many of them for the last decade weren't building any houses. So we want to address affordable housing, and we want to have an eye to our most vulnerable and the homelessness issue as well.
So you talk about wanting a flat tax, you know, lower taxes, all of this. You've called the gas tax, trying to repeal that, a gimmick, but we've had now a week straight of the highest gas bills that we've ever seen in our state and in the country. Why is that a gimmick to get rid of the gas tax?
Well, listen, I want everyone to have lower cost of living. This is the highest cost increase in the cost of daily life that we've had in nearly 40 years. And that's why the tax cuts that I've put forward are permanent tax cuts. They're things that are predictable and that Arizonans can count on. And I want to continue to do that. I don't, and I'm going to resist the temptation to participate in gimmicks. And I think doing something temporary would be a gimmick. We've got a lot of money in the general fund. We can get it back to Arizona taxpayers, and we can do it on a permanent and sustainable basis.
Let's switch gears to something members of your own party are trying to do, which is getting rid of mail-in voting, early voting. First off, what's your take on that? Are you still for early voting and mail-in voting?
Well, listen, I said that lawsuit was ill-conceived and poorly crafted. It would undo the work of decades of Republican governors and secretaries of state. And I think the way that it's written, it's just destined to fail. I want it to be easy to vote and hard, if not impossible, to cheat. And where we can put reforms forward that increase trust and voter integrity, those are policies that I'll sign. What I've said is I want people to be of age when they vote. I want them to be a citizen, I want them to be a resident, and I want them to be alive on the day that they vote. And I think our system protects those 4 pillars.
So if you were to get legislation put in front of your desk to remove early voting or mail-in voting, you would veto that legislation?
Well, listen, I don't comment on policy as it's moving. What I understand is that this was a lawsuit that was filed in court. I've made my comments on the lawsuit, but I will sign good policy, and you can count that I will veto bad policy.
Let's talk COVID-19 for a second. Funding came to an end. Federal funding came to an end overnight, so that uninsured Arizonans can no longer get a free COVID-19 test. Anything you can do at the state level that you're considering in regards to that?
Well, of course, we're looking at the dollars that are in our general fund right now. How do we continue to fund K-12 education, make sure we stretch and strengthen the social safety net, and make sure we've got a well-financed public safety arena as well. I'm talking with the Department of Health Services as necessary to address what remains of COVID-19.
Any plans to end the state of emergency?
Yes, the emergency's over. I mean, look around, the state is wide open. I think we had record number of people out for the waste management Phoenix Open. We've got spring training in full bloom, and people are coming here from all over the country and around the world to watch the games. So we're excited about it. We're winding down a number of things that are purely administrative. We're working with the legislature, the general fund, and our federal authorities to bring an end to all of that.
So are we a couple of weeks away from that ending? Months? Days?
It's coming.
Okay.
We're close.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
It's coming in the next days, weeks, something like that. Not going to get any more specific than that. That's all right. Let's talk about Maricopa County. Alistair Dell resigning. I know you put out a statement on that. You've given us a little bit of comments on that. First, were you surprised that she stepped down when she did?
So I stand by my statement to Alistair Adel. I want to thank Alistair Adel for her service to Arizona and to Maricopa County, and I wish her nothing but the best in her next pursuit. And beyond that, there's now going to be a selection for the next county prosecutor. And I think it's important that we find someone that won't participate in this defund the police baloney, this smash and grab, no bail, no jail that we see in places like Los Angeles, San Francisco, Portland, and Seattle. And I'm all in for Annie Foster. I think she'll be a terrific county prosecutor. Her first job is going to be to get her name on the ballot and then to win the election. But I know she'll be somebody that respects law and order. She's someone that will be supportive of victims and victims' rights, and she'll follow the law.
So the Attorney General, Mark Brnovich, he's asked for more information on the 180 cases that missed the deadline. This was, of course, one of the reasons why Alistair Adel resigned here. Do you want more information about those 180 cases? It sounds like you do based on your comments about what you want out of the next prosecutor.
Well, what I want is I want victims' rights to be respected. I want to live in a place where we have a quality of life, where you feel safe in your home and safe when you walk down the streets. I know that the Attorney General has asked for more information. From what I've read, my understanding is the statute of limitations has run its course on those cases. If there's a way that we can revive those and bring justice to the victims, I'm all for it. But like I said, we need to follow the law.
Let's talk about the race to replace you right now. Are you going to endorse any of the Republican candidates?
Listen, that race is a long ways off. I think we have 290 plus days. I intend to work every moment of the time I'm in the governor's office. We've got a lot to do. The legislative session hasn't even ended yet. But I am going to care a lot about who my successor is, and I am going to have something to say about that race. But I think it's early. The field is was still forming till rather recently, and this is why they run the campaign. I want to see how they answer some of the tough questions that are out there, the values and principles that they support and endorse, and I want to make certain that someone who is responsible and has the voters' best interest at heart is our next governor.
Will you endorse someone before the primary?
I'm going to reserve the right to endorse my pick, but I'm going to do it at a time when there's more information out there.
Will you support whoever wins the Republican primary?
Oh, I'm going to support whoever wins the Republican primary. I mean, not only am I leading the state of Arizona as governor, I'm the chairman of the Republican Governors Association. We have 36 governors races across the nation. I'm honored that my peers asked me to serve in that role. And like I said, there are 36 very important states to the RGA, but there's one state that's most important to me, and that's the state of Arizona.
And you have to tell me what you're doing next, because that's all anyone cares about, and I want to be the one to break the news.
Well, I'm focused on being governor and leading the RGA. My plate is full. There'll be plenty of time of thinking about that after January 2nd, 2023.
Is it something you think about, though? I mean, is this something that you're having conversations about, those next
No,
steps?
no, I'm not having any conversations about next steps. I'm just having conversations about what I have to get done. It's a way to avoid any temptation or distraction and really focus on, I've loved this job, I love this job. I do think 2 terms is enough, and I want to run through the tape in doing it. And this is probably the most ambitious agenda that we've presented in the last 8 years. So there's a lot more work to do, and then there's an expectation of success across the country for the Republican ticket in those 36 states, and I want to deliver on that commitment as well. It's very important to me.
Would you consider, I mean, you've served now for 8 years, you came from the private life before this. Do you look at the private life next, or do you look at serving?
Well, I look at my day job, but I would also say that I'm open-minded to what's next.